a meeting of the Southborough Zoning Board of Appeals for September 20th, 2024. There is, this is a public meeting. However, it's not a hearing as such, where we take comments from different boards and from the public. The purpose of the meeting is to review the decision on application for comprehensive permit application for the residents at Park Central LLC. So just so Mr. Tallerman has written a decision based on, you know, the history and his knowledge, and no doubt a lot of minutes from the several meetings on the decision that was submitted to the people who sat on the hearing, which are Doug, Mike, Doris, and myself. That was submitted for review on Wednesday this week. So we're really, the purpose of the meeting is to review what Mr. Tallerman has submitted and provide feedback. So, Jay, did you have anything to say to begin with, or do you
Yeah,
want
no,
comments?
I'll lead into it a little bit, and Laura deserves a lot of credit here because she put in some time to really nail down the procedural history, the dates, and everything else like that. That was really helpful. You know, I kept this given what the board's vote was at the last session of the public hearing to its essence. There was no need to go into the merits of the project because the merits of the project were never presented. So I stuck to two issues. The first was the issue regarding the agreement recorded covenant with the neighbors and that's impact on the 40B process, and then the failure of the applicant to prosecute their application. There's some other kind of, I don't want to call them gratuitous, but important notations in there about cooperation and things like that. But basically it comes down to those two issues, that there's a practical barrier here to considering this in its current form, and B, they didn't resolve that, and all they did was keep continuing and never presented or prosecuted their case, so to speak. So, and I didn't think there was any need to go into anything further than that, and I wouldn't want to anyway, because it would be pure conjecture as to what that was like.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my own take on it, like I thought you accurately captured it. Like, I mean, I thought it was important to say, you know, what you did about the you know, their ability to even do the build based on, you know, the what you refer to it as, the the declaration, right? So that was, and I think we knew that was sort of foundational to the problem of the whole project. I mean, I think he did make clear in there that the board said, hey, you go and comply with what you signed up for with the neighborhood, and we have something here. And they very clearly didn't do that. I think it's good not to get into what they did and what the abutters who are part of that declaration did. But I think it was kind of clear to the board, like they were just trying to go down the whole legal path. And, you know, that happened at the meetings, that they would say, this happened. People who were part of it would say, that's not what happened at all. So it was obviously that there wasn't cooperation going on. So I was generally happy with it, but
yeah, and I think it's also important. I think the lack of cooperation is certainly a factor, but even if we're going to take them at full face value that they didn't want to pursue something because they were making a good faith effort, you know, question whether it's good faith or not, to work out these other issues. The fact remains is that they applied to us. They were bound to diligently pursue something, and they didn't. They may have had a very good reason for that, but they didn't. So,
okay. Yeah. Like I said, I feel I'm okay with it. Doug, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, I read through it yesterday and this morning. Definitely felt I liked the chronology that was put in, and definitely appreciate Lara helping out with the dates and everything and additional detail. But I was good with it. I definitely was good with the findings. And I think it's consistent with, what we discussed at the last meeting. So I don't have any material comments or questions on the decision at this point.
Yeah, for me, briefly, there's a quick, small little typo in paragraph 10 of the section 1. There's just a little, what is it? Is it 10? I only did it like 2
Oh,
seconds ago.
the any interest.
Expressed any interest.
Yeah, you kind of the space between
and
the
then
Got
and
it.
the Y.
See it. Yeah.
The only thing that I wanted to kind of, that I just went through this now, the only thing that I wanted to make sure we have on the record was that we me specifically suggested, hey, why don't you withdraw your application until either the litigation is resolved or we get a judicial or a settlement? And the answer was no.
Okay.
good point.
I can add that.
Yeah, that's the only, like, hey, listen, you can choose to withdraw this. Like, we have this declaration. We think it's an issue. You can, and I just want to make sure that they know, when somebody reads this decision, they don't have to check the video to see that, he was unambiguous about, we're not going to do this.
Right, he made it very clear. I agree.
That was the only kind of pressure point on this that I wanted to,
Okay.
if we could add, and that's it.
Okay, I had just a minor point in the very last paragraph, the decision. Just the
I
fact.
didn't even read. I actually was going through the findings decision.
Okay, just it's kind of it's relatively minor, but you said based on the foregoing, et cetera, the board, upon motion by Mike Robinson, seconded by Doris Cahill, the board. So you repeat the board is all. Like you say the board, and then you condition it, and then you say the board again unanimously voted. So
Okay. Yep.
Lawyers don't think like that, though. That read right to me.
that's why I'm here, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm like,
not a
oh
lawyer.
yeah, and the board did it.
Right.
The board
Okay.
and the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just see the board.
So okay, but
I love the last sentence of the findings. The board remains willing and ready to expeditiously review the new application if and when the issues are resolved. That was perfect.
yeah.
I love that you added the bad faith. That's exactly what they've done. Rising to the declaration. Again, that's the declaration. Again, that's the declaration. And again, it's the declaration. Yep.
Okay. Doris, I think you were offering your thoughts maybe when about halfway through when Jay joined. Did you want to?
Yeah, so of course I'm in favor of the general letter, and it accomplishes, explaining that why we've denied. I just had a couple of comments. They're just more, one is just to answer myself a very small question. It's in point number 3 in the beginning. I think I know what this means, but Jay, you probably know exactly what it means. I don't know of an entity called a limited dividend entity.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. So like I know of an LLC and I know of a partnership, and but I just think I think I know what you mean, but why don't you tell me what you mean?
So it's
an
actual technical term under 40B, where under the statute, every applicant is required to become a limited dividend entity, meaning that they're going to limit their profit because it's affordable housing to 20% if it's home ownership, or 10% per year if it's a rental. So they are required to be that. So it's official parlance there.
Okay. That's what I think it means. Just haven't seen it in a document because this is my first 40B case, or my first series of 40B cases, all back to back. Okay, so that's what I thought it meant. Okay, so then in point 4, and it's sort of tantamount to why we're denying this applicant at this point. you talk about the applicant is related to the corporate entity that owned the property. And that's true. But along with that, at the time when we began some of the meetings and we had that big binder with us at the first opening meetings, is it important? Because I thought it was important at the time that this entity is substantially the same members of the old entity with a new entity name with the same management team as the old entity. And in my mind, that's very much part of why they're bound to the original covenant. Park Central's attorney was adamant that that was just like a whole new project, even though the plans are similar. The entity is similar. In my mind, it's never enough that covenant is not applicable to the new entity. I don't know if this says it there.
I
You
think
start to say
actually,
it.
I think the declaration is buy-in between the applicant and the neighbors, not with the property owner and the neighbors. So it's Park Central, I believe, is
Yeah, that's what I meant. Where else? Okay, all right. So it does. I didn't see to me. It's clear that all I want to get out of it, that we're as clear as a bell, that this new applicant was the old applicant.
yeah, I
was
don't think they're
tied
getting
to-
out from under the declaration on those grounds. But again, that they've acknowledged that the declaration attaches itself to the land, so to speak. What their argument is that it doesn't say what we think it says. But they then conceded to the fact that, well, they better work this out. Fine. They didn't have to. And we could be in a different place. Maybe we might still be at loggerheads with them, but they went off to litigate with this entity, with the neighbors. And then it's been a year and they haven't done anything with us. So in my view, they've kind of conceded all of this.
Okay, so in regard to the denial opinion, we're saying what I kept hearing is that the argument is they're not responsible anymore to follow through on that covenant.
Well, we're taking the position that they are and will be for 2 years following their notice
Yeah, I read
to the
that.
neighbors. And they have facially disagreed. And if they disagree with our conclusions in that regard in this decision, they're free to challenge that. What they can't challenge, in my view, is that they haven't done anything. And, one thing I'm going to focus on if they appeal is, well, how do you get out from under not ever presenting a plan or technical information to us?
Okay, so what he had said at the last hearing was the fact that they applied and the fact that they gave us the book and the fact that they used what was similar to the old site plan was all they needed to do. I'm not.
Yeah, that's garbage though. No one's gonna buy that. I'm not concerned.
Well, what I want the denial to stick. That's where I'm coming from.
Well, listen, Doris, this is 40B. It's hard to predict the outcome of these things. I have a certain amount of confidence where we are here, given that this applicant hasn't done anything. But I can't predict, and I've long since given up making predictions in and around 40B projects. And I'm certainly not going to give an assessment of litigation risks and benefits in an open public meeting.
I don't think that was my question.
No, I know that. I'm
thank
just
you.
like, I wanted to stick to.
I'm listening.
Yeah,
I'm listening.
We don't know.
I'm just, okay. Well, neither do I. And what I know is we're denying it and that we're covering the aspect that they're disagreeing and they haven't presented anything new since the first meeting.
Yeah, so if I could, my very unprofessional from a legal perspective opinion is that I felt like we as a board gave them a ton of rope. Like almost every meeting we had the abutters and the public commenting, why are you taking this? Why are you listening to it? And we gave them the rope. Go ahead, you come back and you make a case for why you should do it. I mean, I think Mike, you and Doris even were like, I'm not sure why I was here, but we let it continue. I feel like we gave them plenty of opportunity Until it just became like, look, this is obvious. You're not, now we're over a year into this thing, or coming up on a year into this, and you haven't made any progress. I mean, I felt like we took the heat from the residents to allow them to continue, and made the suggestion that they could avoid all of it by just following the covenant, and they didn't. So I think it makes me feel like we're in a better place, where you're coming from, that like we gave them a lot of opportunity here. Nothing progressed. Where are we? And to Mike's point, we said, hey, you could withdraw it without prejudice, and they chose none of those things. So it just makes me feel like we're in a better position as a town and as a board, because we gave them the opportunity.
No, we
That's
gave
just-
them the opportunity. There's no question. We gave them that, and each and every meeting was, and I can't really speak to the case, but it just sounded like there was no movement. And there was reason for no movement too. They didn't want to move. They think they're right. I understand.
Okay.
So,
So,
it's gonna be what it's gonna be, whether or not they go back to housing or how they want to proceed on their side, but here's where we're at now, so.
okay, so as a board, we have a couple minor edits that we've asked Jay to make. Is there anything, I mean, Doris, I know you have some concerns here. Is there anything substantial that we feel needs to be in here that Jay didn't cover?
Yeah, so the only thing I focused on was that small item. So the readability, David,
Yeah,
this needs to be the way it is. Jay, we had a discussion, and then you joined the meeting. Not the easiest read, because you need to say certain things in a certain way, and but I didn't find it an easy read, and it's just because of the content and some definitions I'm not that familiar with. But my concern, and Jay says it's not a concern, is that covenant binds the applicants. And my concern on that was the applicant is the same applicant, maybe I
Yeah.
get this wrong, as
Right.
it was before. And it doesn't, in my mind, it didn't say that. That's my really only comment. It's not to get a certain result. It's just,
Okay.
because they did things like, they definitely changed the entity name. They definitely they did that, but that's not technically the applicant, is what Jay's saying. So does that need a change, Attorney Tollerman? Does that need a change, or?
I don't think so. I think we're fine right
Yeah.
where we are on this. Yeah, I don't think there's a way for them to slither out of responsibility with that.
Yeah. I also think, as far as the readability part goes, I mean, I think that's part of a legal document, to make very clear, the terms and who's, so. Mike probably has a little bit easier time reading it than I.
Yeah, right. I no comment. Like, I
No,
read,
I'm reading.
yeah.
I'm reading financial statements, tax law, all makes sense to me.
there,
Um,
and I
and-
wouldn't, my head would explode with that. So that's exactly.
Yeah, so, I've read a lot of leases, not a few leases, a lot of contracts, but what this is sort of as if we're docketing an opinion. It's very, very procedural,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's not a criticism. It's just, if a lay person, like, mostly I'm concerned about the public, that they feel that this says what it needs to say. I know we're not open for comment at this meeting, but if the rest of the board feels comfortable with it, and
Good
Doug
thing.
does, I'm
Yeah.
going to feel very comfortable with it. But a lay person, um, I think would be like, does that really say that? That's all I'm saying. And you can't change it. I get
I
it.
think at the end of the day, it does, if you sort of take your time to digest it. So I'm
Okay.
good with it.
Yeah, I would say I'm
Yeah.
comfortable too. And also, again, I think Jay added in some key items such as we're more than willing to, review the application at the appropriate time, once they've demonstrated, site control. So I thought it was detailed. I like the findings. So it is a bit long, but I think, Doris, unfortunately, that's just the way these things sometimes are. But so I am comfortable with it.
Okay.
Yeah, it does say that down in the body. When I'm writing a business letter, I'm putting points in a different order and then the detail, but I get it.
I have to
says it.
go.
Okay, so
Okay, goodbye.
Do we need to vote? Do we need to?
Well,
if-
You
that
do
would-
need to vote. I'm also, so folks know, I'm putting a signature line. I'm assuming the vote's going to be unanimous, and I'm putting a signature line in for David.
okay. Yeah, that was my question. Procedurally, what do we need to do? We need to vote to
You
accept it
need
with
to
the.
vote to accept it. I'll email it back over to you all, or at least to Dave, to whoever Lara, I think I'll respond to Lara's last email, and then
Excuse me.
David, you have to sign it. It's got to get to the town clerk.
Right.
Whatever else, I don't know if Laura does anything else in terms of cover letter or anything else like that to the town clerk, but it's got to go to the town clerk, and then notice of it has to go out to the developer. Well,
Yeah,
it's
she-
under right here. So
Yeah, she sent me some details on what
Okay.
to do, and one of the options is to just to wait for her to return, which I might.
which is
Choose-
fine as long as we're within 40 days from the close of
Correct.
the hearing.
Yeah, and she actually made it clear that we would be, even if we
Okay.
wait for her to return, so.
Okay, and then that's fine. So
Okay,
I'll send it
Make-
back. I
make
made
a
the
motion.
change. I added a paragraph that Mike suggested. It says just read it. It's one sentence. The board suggested to the applicant that they withdraw the application and refile if and when issues regarding the declaration are resolved. The applicant chose not to do so.
okay. You want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the decision as amended.
Second,
And
Okay.
roll call here because we're on Zoom.
Okay. I'm sorry, that we need,
You have to roll call because we're on Zoom.
yep. All right, motion to approve the document as amended has been made with a second. All in favor, respond with aye, opposed nay. Mike,
Michael Robbins is aye.
Doris,
aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And David Williams, that's aye. All right. So that's 4-0 in favor. And so procedurally, Jay, you'll make those amendments and
Yep,
respond.
they're already made. You'll see an email from me momentarily with the final.
Okay,
It'll be, Laura will have it in her inbox as well, and then it's dated for today, and then it'll get the stamped in date from the clerk will be obviously the measuring date for appeals.
okay.
Make a motion to close the public hearing,
Public meeting.
meeting.
Vote me.
Thank you.
Second,
All right, motion to close the public meeting has been made with the second. All in favor, respond with aye, opposed nay. Mike,
Aye.
Doris,
Aye.
Doug,
aye.
and Williams, aye. Okay.
Thank you,
Excellent.
guys. I gotta
Meeting.
run. Doris, thank you, especially you, since you're traveling.
Do we have to
And have a
adjourn?
great weekend. Be well.
Yeah,
See you, Jay.
I will. It
See
should be
you.
great.
Good work,
Take care.
everybody.
See you in a
Thank you.
week, I think, or two. We're up in October. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.